Welcome back to our channel Valuable Coins HD, where we explore the exciting world of rare and valuable coins. Today, we're diving into a coin that many collectors might have in their collection, but few realize its incredible potential value: the 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This coin, which may seem like a humble piece of history, has become a true treasure in the world of numismatics. So, if you've got a 1949 wheat penny lying around, you might want to take a closer look because this little coin could be worth far more than you think. Let's start by setting the scene. The 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted at a time when the United States was still recovering from the aftermath of World War II. The economy was on the rise, and the 1940s were a decade filled with innovation, change, and growth. The wheat penny, a staple of U.S. currency for decades, continued to circulate alongside the broader economic recovery. At the time, it was just a standard 1-cent coin, designed by the famous sculptor Victor David Brenner. On the obverse of the coin, you'll find the profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This iconic image has been gracing the Lincoln penny since 1909 and has remained unchanged for over a century. On the reverse, you'll find 2 stalks of wheat, which is why this coin is commonly referred to as the wheat penny. These stalks represent the agricultural roots of the nation, a nod to Lincoln's connection with the farming community. While these features may be familiar, the true value of the 1949 wheat penny lies not just in its design, but in the rarity of certain variations of this coin. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1949 wheat penny so valuable? Well, it all comes down to a few key factors that can make certain examples of this coin stand out from the rest. The vast majority of 1949 pennies that were minted are not especially rare, and in average circulated condition, they're worth just a few cents above face value. However, there are some specific features that can dramatically increase the value of these pennies. Errors and rare variations. One of the most notable variations of the 1949 wheat penny that collectors are particularly interested in is the 1949 S penny. The S mint mark indicates that the coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint, which minted a smaller number of these pennies compared to other locations like Philadelphia and Denver. This alone makes the 1949 S penny more valuable than its counterparts. However, the value doesn't stop there. Certain 1949 S wheat pennies have been found with notable imperfections, such as double dies or other minting errors, which are incredibly valuable to collectors. A double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during the minting process, creating a doubled image of the design. This can happen with the date, the word liberty, or even the motto, "In God We Trust." A double die 1949 S wheat penny is a rare find, and when it's in great condition, its value can skyrocket. These errors are highly sought after in the world of coin collecting, and even a small flaw can make a coin much more valuable. But even without any minting errors, the 1949 S wheat penny can still be worth quite a bit more than its face value if it's in exceptional condition. A well-preserved 1949 S penny, one that hasn't seen heavy circulation and shows little wear, can fetch a price far above what you might expect. Coins in mint condition, or those that are graded as uncirculated, are much more valuable because collectors prize them for their rarity in pristine state. It's important to note that coin condition plays a major role in determining its value. A 1949 penny that's heavily worn, scratched, or tarnished is likely to only be worth a few cents more than its face value. But if you have a 1949 wheat penny in great condition, you could have something much more valuable on your hands. The better the condition of the coin, the more it's worth in the eyes of collectors. And then, of course, we have the ultimate treasure, the rare 1949 wheat penny with both the minting error and exceptional condition. When both of these factors come together, the value of the coin can reach remarkable heights. Imagine holding onto a coin that could be worth thousands of dollars simply because it was struck with a minting error and kept in pristine condition for over 70 years. It's a collector's dream, so let's talk numbers. How much could a 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a rare error or in mint condition actually be worth? If you happen to have one of these coins, particularly a 1949 yes with a double die error, you could be looking at a price tag of as much as $88,000. That's right, $88,000 for a single coin that was originally worth just 1 cent when it was first minted. It's truly incredible how much value a simple penny can accumulate over the years, especially when it's a rare, error-filled coin in pristine condition. If you're wondering how you can tell if you've got one of these rare and valuable coins, the first thing to do is inspect the coin closely. Look for any signs of doubling in the design, especially around the date, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." These are the areas most commonly affected by double die errors. Also, pay attention to the condition of the coin. If it's well preserved, without signs of heavy wear or damage, it could be worth far more than you think. If you're uncertain, you can always take the coin to a professional appraiser or a reputable coin dealer who can help you determine its value. Now, before we wrap up, let's remember just how special this little coin is. The 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny, especially those with minting errors or those in excellent condition, is far more than just pocket change. It's a piece of history and a rare find for collectors. If you've got one of these pennies in your collection, you could be sitting on a small fortune, up to $88,000, to be exact. Yes, $88,000 for a single penny. Today, we've got something incredibly exciting to talk about, a coin that's been a part of American currency for over a century but still holds secrets that can turn it into a small fortune. We're talking about the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny. If you think this little penny is just another piece of pocket change, think again. There's a lot more to this coin than meets the eye, and today, we'll dive into exactly why this particular penny is so valuable and how it could potentially be worth tens of thousands of dollars. The 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of the most iconic coins in American numismatics. This coin was minted at the tail end of World War II, a time when the United States was seeing massive change and economic upheaval. The war effort had shaped the country's economy, and the penny, which had been around since 1909, continued to be a symbol of American resilience and unity. Featuring the profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse, the 1945 penny remains an important piece of U.S. history. But what makes the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny so valuable? You might assume that coins from this period are common and won't fetch much more than their face value. After all, millions of these pennies were minted during World War II. However, there are some key factors that make certain 1945 pennies rare and highly sought after by collectors, and these factors could have your penny worth far more than you expect. First, let's talk about the different mint marks. As you might know, the U.S. Mint produces coins at different locations, and the mint mark on the coin can significantly affect its value. In 1945, pennies were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. While most of the pennies that were produced that year were from the Philadelphia Mint and carry no mint mark, the Denver and San Francisco mint marks can make a big difference in value. One of the most interesting things about the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny is the significant role played by the 1945 San Francisco version. The 1945 pennies, while not as rare as some other variations of wheat pennies, were still produced in smaller numbers compared to the Philadelphia issues, which adds an element of scarcity. These 1945 pennies, especially those in good to excellent condition, are considered valuable by collectors, especially those looking to complete their Lincoln Wheat Penny collection. But the true jackpot of the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny lies in the potential for minting errors. Over the years, coins that were struck with mistakes during the minting process have become highly prized by collectors. Errors like double dies, off-center strikes, and misaligned dies can drastically increase the value of a coin. When it comes to the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny, the most valuable coins are those that show clear minting errors, particularly the double die variety. A double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing the design to appear doubled. This is often most noticeable on the date, where you might see a visible duplication of the number 1945, or in the word liberty or the motto, "In God We Trust." These kinds of errors are considered rare and highly desirable by collectors, making the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a double die error one of the most sought-after versions of the coin. The rarity of these minting errors is what makes them so valuable. Most coins, even those from the 1940s, are not going to be worth more than face value unless they have something special about them. But a double die error coin can be worth a significant amount, sometimes worth thousands of dollars, depending on the specific details and condition of the coin. Now let's talk about the condition of the coin, which plays a huge role in its value. A coin's condition is graded on a scale from poor to mint state, with higher grade coins being much more valuable. A 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny in near-perfect or uncirculated condition could fetch a much higher price than one that's been heavily circulated and worn. Coins that have been kept in good condition, whether through careful storage or simply by not being used frequently, are always more desirable to collectors because they show off the sharpness of the design and the detail that was originally struck onto the coin. If you have a 1945 wheat penny that shows minimal signs of wear, especially if it's a 1945 S or one with a minting error like a double die, you're looking at a potential gold mine. The coin's condition combined with its rarity could push the value of the penny to astronomical heights, and it could become a serious asset in your coin collection. And now for the part you've all been waiting for, the price. You might be wondering, just how much could a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny be worth? If you're lucky enough to have one of these rare, error-filled coins, especially in excellent condition, you could be looking at a value of up to $85,000. That's right, $85,000 for a single penny that originally cost only 1 cent. It's incredible how much a simple mistake in minting, or even just the right mint mark, can increase the value of a coin over the years. So, how do you know if you have one of these rare pennies? Start by checking for a mint mark. If it's a 1945 S, you're already looking at a coin with a higher potential value. Next, take a close look at the design. Is there any noticeable doubling in the numbers or letters? If so, you might have a double die error coin on your hands. Lastly, pay attention to the condition of the penny. If it looks like it's been well preserved and hasn't been worn down from years of circulation, it could be worth much more than you think. If you're unsure about the value of your coin or want to get a professional opinion, consider reaching out to a coin dealer or an appraiser who can help you accurately assess its worth. These experts have the knowledge and experience to spot rare variations and minting errors that you might miss on your own. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a perfect example of how something as simple as a 1-cent piece can hold incredible value. Whether it's the mint mark, the condition, or the rarity of a minting error, this coin could be worth much more than you ever imagined. So, if you've got a 1945 wheat penny, don't just toss it aside, take a closer look. It could be worth up to $85,000. Today, we're diving into the world of one of the most sought-after and fascinating coins in American history, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Now, you may think of the Lincoln penny as a simple, everyday coin, but when it comes to certain years, like the 1944 edition, this humble penny can be worth far more than its 1-cent value. So, if you're sitting on any 1944 pennies, you'll definitely want to stick around because you may have an unexpected treasure in your collection. Let's start with a little bit of historical context. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck during the final years of World War II, a period of major upheaval and change for the United States and the world. By 1944, the United States had fully entered into the war effort, and things were starting to look more positive for the Allies. The penny itself is part of a long-standing tradition, dating back to 1909, when it was first introduced with the image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by the famous sculptor Victor David Brenner. As most of you probably know, the reverse of the coin features 2 stalks of wheat, which is why it's commonly referred to as the wheat penny. This reverse design is simple, yet deeply symbolic of the agricultural roots of America, which makes it a beloved coin for collectors. However, the 1944 version of this coin carries a special significance that can make it incredibly valuable. What makes the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny so unique, and why is it worth so much? The key factors here are related to the coin's composition and its potential for rarity. For many years, pennies were made from a copper and tin alloy, but during World War II, copper was in high demand for the war effort. As a result, the U.S. Mint switched the composition of pennies to steel in 1943, with the intention of saving copper for wartime use. However, by 1944, the copper shortage had eased, and the Mint returned to using the traditional copper alloy for the pennies, but here's where it gets interesting. While the vast majority of 1944 pennies were struck using the standard copper alloy, a small number of them were mistakenly minted using the leftover steel from 1943. These pennies, known as steel 1944 pennies, are extremely rare and valuable because of the mix-up in materials. These steel pennies, which appear much lighter and have a different color compared to their copper counterparts, are highly sought after by collectors due to their rarity. The vast majority of 1944 Lincoln wheat pennies are made of the familiar copper alloy, but the steel version is incredibly scarce, with only a few examples known to exist. The steel pennies are extremely rare, and finding one in good condition can lead to a windfall for a collector who stumbles upon it. If you think you might have one of these rare steel pennies, it's worth getting it professionally authenticated. The value of a steel 1944 penny can reach astronomical heights, far beyond the typical copper version. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. Like most coins, the condition plays a huge role in its value. A penny that's been circulating for decades, getting scratched up and worn down, is not going to fetch much more than its face value. However, a coin that has been well preserved or one that's in uncirculated condition can be worth far more. The rarer the coin and the better its condition, the higher the value. If you have a 1944 Lincoln wheat penny that's been carefully stored or remains uncirculated, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. These coins could fetch significant prices, particularly if they are in mint condition. A coin with minimal wear, sharp details, and vibrant coloring can attract a much higher price from serious collectors. Mint state examples of the 1944 penny are always in demand, and they can command a premium on the market. But what really boosts the value of this coin are its errors, like the rare steel version we mentioned earlier. Another important factor that contributes to the high worth of some 1944 pennies is the presence of minting errors. These errors can range from doubled dies to misprints and other inconsistencies that occur during the minting process. While most coins are meticulously struck, there are always a few that slip through the cracks with imperfections that make them incredibly valuable. These errors can make the coin stand out in a collection, and many collectors specifically seek out coins with these unique flaws. One of the most well-known errors from the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny series is the famous D/D mintmark error, where a D mintmark appears to be doubled on the coin. This error can occur when the die used to mint the coins was not properly aligned, causing a second D to appear slightly off-center. A 1944 penny with this error is considered highly collectible and can command a much higher price than a regular 1944 penny. If you're lucky enough to find one of these mint mark errors in your collection, you may be holding onto a true gem. Now, let's get to the big reveal. Just how much could a 1944 Lincoln wheat penny be worth? If you have a steel 1944 penny or one with a rare minting error, such as the D/D mintmark, and it's in exceptional condition, you could be sitting on a coin worth up to $87,000. That's right, $87,000 for a single penny. It's incredible to think that a small, seemingly ordinary coin can be worth such a massive sum. A single mistake in the minting process, or the right combination of factors, can make a huge difference in the coin's value, and the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny is a perfect example of how rare coins can fetch enormous prices. So, how can you tell if you have one of these rare and valuable coins? Start by checking for any signs of doubling in the mintmark, which could indicate a D/D error. Next, carefully inspect the color and weight of your penny. If it looks like it's made of steel rather than copper, it might be one of those rare steel 1944 pennies. You should also pay attention to the overall condition of the coin. If it's in good shape and has minimal signs of wear, it could be worth a lot more than face value. If you're not sure whether your coin is a rare find, it's always a good idea to have it evaluated by a professional appraiser or a reputable coin dealer. The 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a prime example of how rare coins, even those that seem common at first glance, can hold incredible value. Whether it's the rare steel penny, an error coin, or just one that's been well preserved, this particular penny has the potential to bring in big money. So, if you've got a 1944 wheat penny in your collection, make sure to take a close look. It could be worth up to $87,000. Today, we're diving into the history of a coin that may look simple at first glance, but can actually be worth thousands of dollars, a coin that's often overlooked by many collectors, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This small piece of American history could hold much more value than you might expect, and today, we're going to reveal just how much this penny can be worth in the current market. So, stay tuned, because you may just find out you have a hidden treasure sitting in your coin collection. First, let's take a quick look back at the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny and the historical context behind it. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, with its iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the two stalks of wheat on the reverse, has been an enduring symbol of American currency since its introduction in 1909. The design, created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, was meant to honor the 16th President of the United States and reflect the agricultural roots of the country. But why is the 1953 version so special, and why are people willing to pay top dollar for this coin today? The 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted during a time of post-World War II prosperity. By 1953, the country had emerged from the Great Depression and World War II, and the economy was booming. The U.S. Mint produced billions of these pennies during this era, and for most people, these pennies were just a part of everyday transactions. But as time passed, fewer and fewer of these coins have survived in excellent condition, making those that have been carefully preserved incredibly valuable. When it comes to coin collecting, the condition of the coin plays a major role in determining its value. A well-worn 1953 penny might not be worth much more than its face value, but if you have a 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny in uncirculated or near mint condition, that's where the value starts to rise. Coins that have been kept in pristine condition over the years are far rarer than those that have been circulated and used in daily transactions. So, the first thing you'll want to do is check the condition of your coin. Look for signs of wear, scratches, or discoloration. These things can drastically lower the coin's value, but it's not just the overall condition that makes the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny valuable. There's another factor that collectors are always on the lookout for: mint errors. Mint errors are imperfections that occur during the coin's production, and they can make a coin incredibly rare and highly sought after. The 1953 penny is no exception. While the vast majority of 1953 pennies were struck perfectly, there are some rare examples that have minting errors that make them stand out in the world of numismatics. One of the most notable errors associated with the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny is the double die error. A double die error occurs when the coin's die is misaligned, causing the design to be struck twice, resulting in doubled images on the coin. The most common area for this error to appear is on the date, the word liberty, or the motto, "In God We Trust." If you happen to have a 1953 penny with this double die error, you've got something truly special on your hands. These error coins are highly collectible and can fetch a significant amount of money at auctions or from serious coin collectors. It's also worth mentioning that the mint mark on the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny can also affect its value. There were 3 mints that produced these coins: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If your 1953 penny has a D mint mark, it was minted in Denver, and if it has an S mint mark, it was minted in San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced the majority of the 1953 pennies, so those with a D or S mint mark tend to be rarer and can be worth more, especially in higher grades. Now, let's talk about the importance of rarity. The value of a coin often increases based on how rare it is. The 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of those coins that, while not necessarily rare in terms of total production, has become increasingly rare in excellent condition. Most of the 1953 pennies that were circulated were exposed to wear and tear, leaving only a small percentage in mint or uncirculated condition. So, finding a high-quality 1953 penny is like discovering a hidden gem. The value skyrockets when the coin is in near-perfect condition, making it highly desirable to collectors. As we dig deeper into the potential value of the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny, the next important aspect to consider is the presence of any unique features. Some 1953 pennies may have minor design variations or other imperfections that make them even more valuable. These could be slight variations in the thickness of the letters, misalignment in the images, or even faint die cracks that occurred during production. While these may seem like minor details, coin collectors and investors love these unique variations because they represent something rare, and rarity equals value in the world of coin collecting. So, let's get to the big question: how much could your 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny be worth? Well, if you have one of these rare pennies in excellent condition, or better yet, if you have a double die error or another minting mistake, you could be sitting on a coin worth up to $74,000. Yes, you heard that right, $74,000 for a single penny. It's mind-blowing how much value a simple coin can have when it's been preserved or contains rare minting errors. Whether it's a double die error, a low mintage variety, or simply one that has been kept in pristine condition, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny has the potential to be worth a small fortune. Now, if you're lucky enough to have one of these rare coins in your collection, it's time to get it evaluated. Take it to a trusted coin dealer or get it graded by a professional numismatist to determine its true value. You never know, you could have a valuable piece of American history in your hands without even knowing it. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed learning about the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny and its value, make sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more exciting coin discoveries, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Until next time, happy collecting, and remember to keep an eye on your change. You never know when you might find the next big treasure. Today's episode is going to blow your mind. We're diving deep into the world of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that, at first glance, might look like a regular penny you could find in your pocket, but in reality, this little gem has the potential to make you a small fortune. So, stick around because you're about to learn all about this fascinating coin and just how much it could be worth today. The Lincoln Wheat Penny has been a staple of American currency since its introduction in 1909. Featuring the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and two stalks of wheat on the reverse, this coin is a symbol of America's agricultural history. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck during an interesting time in the country's history. In 1950, the United States was post-World War II, enjoying a time of peace and economic growth. The coin itself is a part of the 1941 to 1958 series, and even though millions of these pennies were minted in 1950, there's one particular version of this coin that is in high demand today. Now, you might be wondering what makes the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny so special. Sure, it was widely produced, but what makes this specific penny valuable? Well, it all comes down to a few important factors that coin collectors and investors look for: rarity, condition, and certain unique characteristics that can set this coin apart from the standard 1950 penny. First, let's talk about rarity. When it comes to coins, rarity is one of the most important factors in determining value. A coin that was produced in large numbers but has become scarce over time can be worth much more than its face value. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny falls into this category. Although over 250 million of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, finding one in pristine, uncirculated condition is a rarity. Many of these pennies were used in everyday transactions, which means most of them have experienced wear and tear. However, if you manage to find a 1950 penny that's in mint condition, free from scratches, dents, or signs of circulation, it could be worth significantly more than you might expect. The next factor to consider is the coin-specific minting details. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck in several different mint locations, and this can affect its value. While the Philadelphia Mint produced the bulk of these coins, the Denver and San Francisco mints also produced smaller numbers. The mint mark, located just below Lincoln's neck on the obverse side, indicates where the coin was minted. Pennies with the D mint mark from Denver or the S mint mark from San Francisco are less common than the no mint mark variety from Philadelphia, and they can be more valuable, especially if they are in great condition. But here's the thing, it's not just the mint mark that can drive up the value of a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny. Some of these pennies have rare minting errors that make them extremely valuable. Error coins are highly coveted in the numismatic world because they are one of a kind and cannot be replicated. The 1950 Lincoln wheat penny has its share of notable errors, with one of the most significant being the 1950 double die variety. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, resulting in doubled lettering or a doubled date. Double die errors can be found on various areas of the coin, but the most noticeable are often in the date, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." If you happen to have one of these error coins, you could be holding onto a rare piece that's worth far more than the typical 1950 penny. Mint errors like the double die can significantly increase the value of a coin because they are so rare and unique. While the regular 1950 Lincoln wheat penny is still valuable in good condition, the double die variety takes the value to a whole new level. Even small errors on the coin can drive up its worth, as collectors are always on the lookout for these special pieces. If you have a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny, it's worth checking closely for any signs of doubling or other minting inconsistencies, as they could be the key to unlocking its true value. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. Like with any collectible, the condition is one of the most important factors that affect the price. Coins that have been carefully preserved or kept in excellent condition are always more valuable than those that have been worn down from years of use. When it comes to Lincoln wheat pennies, the higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A penny that has been graded as MS 65 or higher, mint state, can fetch much more than a well-worn coin with signs of circulation. The higher the grade, the more attractive and detailed the coin looks, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins in mint condition. So, if you're lucky enough to have a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny that's been preserved in great shape, it could be worth a small fortune. And if your penny has the right mint mark, or even better, a rare minting error, the value could go through the roof. You might be surprised at what your 1950 penny could be worth, especially if it has that special touch that sets it apart from the rest. Now for the part you've all been waiting for, just how much could a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny be worth? If you have one of these rare pennies, especially with the coveted double die error or in near perfect condition, it could be worth up to $77,000. Yes, you heard that right, $77,000 for a single penny. It's incredible how much value can be packed into such a small coin. What may seem like just a regular penny from 1950 could turn out to be a true hidden treasure. So, if you've got a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny, don't just toss it aside or assume it's not valuable. Take the time to check for any minting errors, look at its condition, and see if it has any rare features that could make it a valuable find. You never know, you could be sitting on a coin worth thousands of dollars.